Long ago, in a lush river valley, a chorus of frogs gathered each spring at their ancient breeding ground across the river. The river was swift, and the journey perilous, but it was a sacred tradition. Among the reeds of the breeding ground lived a family of scorpions, dark and glossy, who watched the frogs with sharp eyes. "Take us across the river," the scorpions always said to the juvenile frogs. "We wish to find freedom on the far side." The frogs would hesitate, knowing the scorpions were dangerous, but their youthful hearts were eager to please. They would let the scorpions ride on their backs one by one through the rushing water. The scorpions would always promise not to sting the youths, and every time they killed them, every time the youth would die exclaiming, "You've killed us both." And every time the scorpion would explain, "It's in my nature." The scorpions always survived, returning upstream beneath the water to their breeding ground. For generations this pattern continued. The scorpions grew fewer, but their bloodline endured. Over time their family became inbred, their bodies frail but adapted to both land and water. They did not need air as much as other scorpions, but they still longed for freedom, a place they could never seem to reach. One spring something extraordinary happened. A strange scorpion appeared at the breeding ground, born on the back of a fish. This scorpion was sleek and golden, with a dazzling glow about him. "I come from freedom," he said proudly. "I seek kinship here." The scorpion family welcomed him eagerly, hoping his arrival would strengthen their dwindling bloodline. The golden scorpion married into the family, and soon there were offspring, stronger, faster, and brighter than their kin had been in years. The scorpions rejoiced, for they thought their lineage was saved. But as the new generation grew, something strange happened. Their bodies began to change. Their ability to hold their breath diminished, their legs became spindly, and their shells thinner. One by one, the young scorpions drowned after killing the juvenile frogs. Desperate, the scorpions begged succeeding generations of frogs to take them to freedom, but the frogs never survived the compulsive, fatal thrust. Eventually, the scorpions, no longer able to survive underwater, clung to the riverbank, stranded and gasping for air. In the end, the last of the scorpion family stood alone at the water's edge, watching the juvenile frogs escape to freedom. This scorpion, too weak to cross and unable to stay underwater, succumbed to the river's pull. And so, the scorpion family perished, undone not by the cruelty of the river or the frogs, but by compulsive self-destruction, despite overwhelming desire to reach a freedom they could never understand. The moral of this story is, a path pursued without reflection may lead not to freedom, but to ruin.